In the words of one Triple Crown thru hiker, the entire Appalachian Trail wasn't worth it until I got to Franconia Ridge. Then I understood. Franconia Ridge is the roughly 2.5 miles of open ridgeline connecting the peaks of Mount Lafayette to Little Haystack. It features constant 360-degree views of the stunning White Mountains. On a summer day, it's host to hundreds, but in the winter, fierce winds, whiteouts, and deadly cold define the peaks. Few hikers attempt it. But for those who do, the winter is when it is most beautiful. This is the Franconia Ridge Winter Traverse. Our breakfast that morning consisted of bagels, cream cheese, and cured meats. In preparation for the brutal cold, I put on my double layers of socks, knowing that we'd face over 45-mile-an-hour winds at the summit and wind chill down in the negative 20s. We arrived at the trailhead in high spirits. I shotgunned my Red Bull, spiked up, and made our way to the old bridle path. From there, we elected to go on the bridle path first, to go around Franconia Ridge in a clockwise fashion to make sure to traverse the Appalachian Trail in the correct direction. Southbound. The trail conditions were pretty well maintained. There wasn't nearly as much snowpack as there was at Mercy, but the snow was also not nearly as deep, though I still experienced some post-holing, mainly when I went off the beaten path. It wasn't significant enough to change out of the microspikes, and the layer on top of the snow was pretty hard ice, so the spikes provided the traction needed. Soon enough, we started to get to thinning tree line and got onto the minor ridge that led up to the Franconia Ridge. We got sights of Mount Lincoln and Lafayette in the distance as we began our climb.
Oh, there it is. Franconia Ridge. Lafayette, Lincoln, Little Haystack.
There it stood before us, our work cut out for us. Franconia Ridge, in all its glory. But we still had to get there, and we began climbing at a roughly 45-degree angle on lots of ice-covered rocks, sometimes sheets of ice. It was hard going.
It's about a 45-degree incline or so. I don't know.
We were once again greeted with excellent views of the surrounding mountains. This sign let us know that the hut was within striking distance, and we pushed all the way there.
Mount Lafayette 1.1. That side. Right over there. At Greenleaf Hut, Red Bull time. This is what we call the crux. There's the ridge. Welcome to the cool zone. Oh, so good to be back.
The last time I had hiked into the alpine or cool zone was on Mount Lafayette during my Appalachian Trail thru hike back in July. Now being above tree line meant that the winds started to pick up, and the clouds started to move much faster now. It still wasn't unmanageable, and you can see here that I wasn't even wearing my hat. Though I still had 2 pairs of gloves on to help cut the cold. The trail conditions were also completely different. Rather than snow with a thin layer of ice, it was now a lot more barren rock with only light amounts of snow and ice on top of it.
Lincoln's off that with the clouds. Back on over there you can see Greenleaf Hut. Cat Mountain and the skiers are behind it. A little bit windy.
As I climbed to the summit, I was worried the weather would be worse than expected. But as I made my final push to the summit towards that famous sign, the wind had actually done a lot of work to blow away a lot of those thicker clouds, and I was greeted with 360-degree views and high winds. After enjoying the summit views of Mount Lafayette and celebrating my return to the Appalachian Trail, we pushed on towards the other peaks of Mount Truman, Mount Lincoln, and eventually Little Haystack. This is what Franconia Ridge is all about, the ridgeline connecting these peaks, the open, uninterrupted views, and the stunning scenery in the winter clouds. Gradually, as the winds picked up, they also blew more and more of the cloud cover out of the way.
Lunch break on Franconia Ridge.
We stopped somewhere between the peaks to enjoy my preferred lunch of pepperoni and cheese sticks. We were greeted with beautiful sights of the Kinsmans and Mount Moosilauke off in the distance, and of course Mount Lincoln in front of us and Mount Lafayette behind us. And as the clouds continued to clear, we even got views of the Presidential Range off to our left, including Mount Washington with its summit still shrouded in clouds. The ridge was beautiful, with stunning sights and sunbeams cutting through the clouds. But by this point, our gear was falling apart. Both of Rob's trail crampons had lost critical screws and were no longer usable, and so he was continuing with no traction and just his poles for stabilization. The trail alternated between patches of snow and ice like this, and more rocky areas. By 1:30 in the afternoon, we had reached Little Haystack, the last of the exposed peaks on the ridge. Though it was the shortest of the three peaks, it was also the windiest. We experienced sustained gusts of 40 or 50 miles an hour, and you could see my poles are being blown at nearly 60 degrees away from me. We made our way down slowly, with Rob sliding most of it.
She went out on the Falling Water Trail. Pretty steep so far, but not too bad. Leaving the cool zone. Is your body broken, Rob?
No, I'm okay.
That's good. That's good.
As we made our way down, our pace slowed as we became more fatigued. Gradually, the howl of winds was replaced with a crash of water.
Falling Waters Trail.
With no other option than forwards, we slowly made our way across the first river crossing. Two other hikers we saw that day warned us that these crossings could be up to our knees and significantly dangerous, almost impassable to go back down. But with careful footing, it was quite easy to traverse. Once I made it across, Rob had to make it across, and he did so with flying colors. After some ways, we made it to our second stream crossing, which was actually shallower and easier than the first. The springtime snowmelt and ice melt rushing down the mountains creates these really cool ice formations that I enjoy walking down. Rob had a more difficult time without traction, and we had more streams to cross.
Falling water, all right.
We eventually made it to Cloudland Falls, the most impressive waterfall on the entire trail.
That's the trail.
Here, Rob was forced to channel his inner ice climber to make his way down.
About 1 mile left. 600 feet down. And like 5 more river crossings.
As we approached the final crossing, I kept assuring Rob that it would be bridged, because I really wanted it to be, and it was close to the trailhead.
How kind of them to put a bridge crossing for the very last one.
And it turns out I was right.
Yeah.
And just a few hundred feet beyond that bridge,
Old bridle path. Back to where we began. We arrived at the trailhead. chains and straps. We did it. So, Franconia Ridge complete. What are your thoughts? Man, such a screen injury. Sorry, this is important business. So,
Yeah.
Franconia Ridge complete.
Complete?
We did it.
We did it.
Did it. A good hike overall. Exactly as we drew it up.
Yeah.